example for others, right? Other deacons. And then in verse 13 it says, "For those who have served well as deacons obtain for themselves a good standing and great boldness in the faith which is in Christ Jesus." So again, these are verses out of the Bible in 1 Timothy that talk about the deacon and the importance of being a deacon. So I wanted to just quickly it's not okay. So just some quick announcements around the deacons. As deacons, we must be committed. It's a service, just like we have the service of the bookstore, of the urban, of being an usher, of just anything in the church. It's a commitment, right? Same thing with being a deacon. It is also a commitment. So whether you're the younger ones pushing your parents to get to church on time, we can prepare the altar for Abuna, or we have to stay and be the last person to leave right after Abuna to clean up after any service. So it is a commitment. And please engage in all the church service hymns and responses as one chorus, right? We can't have certain people chanting and others are taking a break. Remember, we are the ones that are leading the congregation as deacons, right? So the beauty of chanting together in one voice as a choir shakes the church, and the entire congregation should be doing that in all the responses, right? So sometimes, we are focused on something else or days, and we're not listening and we're not praying during the liturgy. But I think that's one of the key aspects of, deaconship in our church. This is very important. Please remain at home if you're sick. So I know it is a service that you have a commitment to be a deacon, but at the same time, with the, COVID cases growing and a lot of the people, being sick, it spreads so fast. So if you're not feeling well, it doesn't make sense to come and dress as a deacon and get everyone else around us sick. The next one is let's try our best to commit to come to these deacon meetings. So we're going to have them at least once a month. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about how often we're going to have the deacon meetings. It could be once every 2 weeks. It could be, if we have the commitment, to do it once a week. And that's what the general discussion is today around the hymns, is to solicit feedback and just hear from everyone here your level of commitment. But once we do commit, the beauty is all of us are coming together. We're learning the hymns together, and we're going to focus on having both the intermediate deacon class as well as the beginners deacon class. So we'll talk more about that about at the end of May, or the last meeting that we had. It was for everyone. It was a general meeting. But today we'll get a little bit into more detail about how do we break it up into 2 separate sessions for those that are committed and those that would like to continue to learn more of the advanced hymns versus the younger ones that are in the beginner stage. And then, serve with humility. Again, being a deacon is when you come and someone asks you to read something, please read it. Someone asks you to serve in the altar, please serve in the altar. Otherwise, if you're coming and dressing as a deacon, but you don't want to participate and you don't want to, have that responsibility, what's the purpose of coming and dressing as a deacon, right? Again, that is a responsibility, and we're held accountable in front of God. So if you are going to come and dress as a deacon, please come, and when you participate, it's out of humility, with the older deacons inside the altar that ask you, go ahead and say this. If you know it, please say it. But again, you're out of humility, you're waiting for the older deacon to advise which responses for you to say. And then finally, God bless your service. It is, again, a service. I wanted to just remind folks of the deacon schedule that we have. It's there for a reason, so that everyone gets a turn. We send it out to cover every 2 months, and we talked about that during the last deacon meeting. So it's an eye chart here, but the intent is we have at least 2 deacons serving inside the altar. And we're trying to focus to have at least 1 subdeacon serving every single Sunday inside the altar, and then 1 or 2 other deacons as well. Right now, we have 5 of the subdeacons, so the diocese, wanting to at least have the subdeacons be the ones serving. But the other thing is the commitment of the Pauline epistle, reading the Catholic epistle, Acts, and of course the gospel in the morning for Matins. We also have the Saturday liturgy as well, to try to make sure that someone is with Abuna, at least a couple of deacons every Saturday, so that's there. And then the rest of the schedule is for Sunday. Yes? What is it?
Well, sometimes I actually forget to print it out, or people put on there convening a service. Is there any way that we can enlarge it, print it, enlarge it, and maybe hang it somewhere in the deacon room?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
This is what, cover 2 months?
Yeah, correct. So this one right here is for the month of July and August, and we have 2 that are printed in the new church, and they're put on the 2 podiums right now.
You can have a board like a big board, and then staple this to.
Sure. Here, we used to have it in the deacon door, so we'll do the same thing, and we'll have something inside the deacon door also inside. Or if we find another location, more than happy. Yeah, inside there, we'll have it so that people know. And then it's also sent on the Viber group as well for everyone here. That's on the distribution, so that in advance you can read and know exactly what you're reading. Abuna is always wanting all the deacons to enunciate and make sure that you're preparing whatever it is you're reading. So that way you're not surprised. Some words are difficult, they're harder to read, so please practice in advance. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out, and then we can review it together or find ways to ensure that you're prepared for your responsibility.
Reading is an art. Reading is an art. So you have to know what you are reading and how to read it. Because sometimes the exclamation, the comma, the dot, if you know how to handle it, then it's an explanation. It's not just mumbling words and saying it. It's the meaning, المعنى من ورا اللي بقراه. عشان كده في حاجة اسمها فاصلة، في حاجة اسمها نقطة، في حاجة اسمها علامة تعجب. All these things are very, very important. Reading is an art. زمان in the old, when they used to read it very correctly. And that's why there was no wa'za. Because it was the 3 readings was the wa'za, including the Bible, the Gospel. So reading is an art. It's not just practicing how to read. It's also the meaning of it. But this is also important.
Thank you, Abuna. Any questions about some of these general announcements from anyone? Okay. So, Nether, do you want to just provide, maybe you have 10 minutes to talk about just the Coptic language in general? I can pull up some of the slides, or I only have the one.
We don't
Okay.
make it casual.
Sure. Sure.
Thank you very much, Nader, for allowing me to kind of talk a little bit about the Coptic language. And before I start, I just want to say, add to what you have said already about the deaconship. And I think what makes deacons' service is successful. I like this phrase that we say in Matin prayer. It says, I'll say it in Arabic and I'll say it in English. الست متفقين بمحبة حقيقية إنجيلية كمثل الرسل. دي ربع من الأرباع بتاع الباكر. It says united in the true evangelic love, the true evangelic love like the apostle. So this also adds, just to the success. We could have good deaconship and we could be committed, but everybody's siloed, and they're united when everybody loves each other and everybody cares about each other. It makes a huge difference, of course. The Coptic language is our heritage. It's something we ought to really kind of give it a little bit of attention. And I'd like to share with you, and I'd like you to tell me if you have some idea about the importance of the Coptic language. ليه عندنا اللغة القبطية وليه أهميتها؟ إيه أهمية اللغة؟ ما هي لغة زي اللغات التانية. لو بصينا, if we look at it, the Coptic language is much deeper than what you think. It goes into the roots of the centuries and travel through time and brings us what the spirit of how the saintly people used to pray. Imagine مثلا in Saint Anthony the Great used to sing and read in Coptic, and this is the same language that we are using, and he used to have the same things or some of the things that we are saying. So what a great honor. First of all, it's a bridge to identity. الانتماء والواحد يعرف أصله. في مثل مصري يقول من اللي تاه أنا قديمه تاه من سبق قديمه تاه من سبق قديمه تاه. فطبعا أما نرجع نبتدي نشوف الروح اللي كانت الناس بتصلي بيه, it just goes into the spirit. It penetrates the spirit. When the Coptic is said correctly with the song, when we hear Abuna, when he says something, it's really, maybe sometimes we don't know what the meaning, but it touches you in some manner. And I remember I read from Abuna, Father Amba Matthaeus, he said that one of the times a foreigner just went into Egypt in one of the old churches, and it just so happened that Abuna was saying Ifnuti Nainan in the long version of it. And this person who is foreigner, doesn't know anything about church, start just shedding tears. He does not know what it said. We did not have the monitors or anything, but he felt something. So the Coptic language is important. Also bridges between us. It's our heritage, and also it is kind of custom to the hymns. When people used to write the hymns or the songs for the hymns or the melodies, they did not do the melodies like nowadays. They do like the song, the music, and then after that they do the word. No, they used to do the words and then contemplate how we should do that, and then stop at every preferred vowel to give you the meaning. مثلا بعد إذن وتسك مثلا أما أبونا مثلا بيقول وقسمه, and he divided it. This have a hymn. It goes like this, very just a sample. All this to say, and he divided. And you give you the meaning of how God's body is being broken for all of us. So to wrap it up, because when we can have a lot of talk about this, what I want to say is we want to promote Coptic. We want to learn Coptic to be able to read and kind of give it away and pass it, that's what I mean, to other generation, and to taste this nice Coptic thing, that the treasure that our Father have left us. It makes a difference. And a lot of people, I've seen it, and this is just a personal observation, people who been since their youth, since a young age, attached to the hymns and Coptic, it's very hard for them to stray away, because something within them kind of attract them. They remember the song. I remember things. I remember, for example, somebody very close to me, and he has not gone to the church forever. And he played Abuna Yusuf Asad, and he was saying J99. He just went to tear and remembered all the years. He used to hear it long time ago, and just in a split second, it got him. So this is the power of the Coptic and the hymns, and how wonderful it is, and it's a treasure. We shouldn't ignore it. We should cherish it. And I would like your feedback to tell me, if you're excited about this, we could learn together. And we're not going to be expert, but we're going to get to a point where we can read correctly. We can, go through some rules at a very slow pace where you can get. But I'd like your feedback, if you are willing to do that and help us achieve that for us and for the next generation. Of course. If anybody would like to just, comment, we were just talking together, there isn't anything,
A couple of things.
Yeah.
I totally agree with what you just said, right? So support this 100%. So I think the one thing that we need to think of, is the younger generation, right? So a couple of things when it comes to them. We need to teach them the meaning of the words. I know this is not easy, right? One of the things that I noticed when we push for Coptic and they start saying responses in Coptic and they don't know the meaning of the words, they just repeating it. This is something
Need to be addressed.
not easy for them. They push back. They say, okay, I don't understand what I'm saying. It's easier for me to say it in English, right? So that's one thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if we are serious about promoting and pushing Coptic, and we want to, we need to have commitment from educated servants and deacons that know Coptic to teach hymns in Coptic, as well as the Coptic language itself, so people understand the words. I know this is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take
I agree with
years,
you.
right? But we have to start
No, I agree with
somewhere.
you.
So I think we've talked about this several times before, and زي ما ربنا بيقول الحصاد كتير لكن الفعل قليلون. So we need commitment. We need servants that do Coptic language by itself classes, and hymns in Coptic, not just English classes. That's my
No,
feedback.
and to your point about not understanding, when we learn any language, you start by not understanding, but little by little, you can look at some words and try to kind of decipher, if you're really interested what the meaning. So we could definitely take some words, vocabulary along the way, just things that we commonly say, and that I think will help. The main thing is the love, because sometimes the youth take this as an excuse, easy excuse to get out of service. I don't know the language. I don't want to do anything that has to do with Coptic and Arabic, and we got to be watchful of that. Is it something that they're really struggling with, and if they are given instruction, they're gonna learn, or is it something that is being an excuse to get out of the service? But at either way, we need to bring everybody in, and give them, the people that cannot do it, like give them small things and tell them this is what it means. Because I'll share this with you, and Abuna already probably knows it. There are a direction sometimes from priests, without naming, is to say the same thing. I don't know the Coptic. Why should I say it? It's not my language. It's not something I understand. Why should I say Ishlil? So it doesn't really. It's a concept. It's a concept of you love and you believe in what you're doing or not. Not. But I'm saying that happened. It's not something. So we will work on it. And God, with God's grace, He's going to complete our weaknesses, and we can start. I think all the points are valid.
I would like to add something to what Nader was saying. during Pope Kyrillos VI, our saint, when he used to ordain priests, he would ask the teacher or Ma'allim to go with them to the monastery and stay with them not only for 40 days, but stay as long as they can grasp and know the Odes in Coptic. Then they can offer the lamb. ما كانوش يرفعوا يقدموا الذبيحة. لو عند استلام الذبيحة دي بتبقى البركة بتاعة الكاهن بقى انه خلاص he's on his own. ما يستلمش الذبيحة إلا لما يكون مصلي القداس مش حافظه by heart بس at least he knows الin out بتاعته in Coptic. قال له ساعتها then he gives the okay to the abbot of the monastery, and then the Pope tell him okay now he can يقدر يستلم الذبيحة.
بس لو حد يسلمه يسمونه بالقداس كده.
ما انا بقول لك المعلم كان بيبعتوا يقعدوا مع الكهنة. He would send المعلم to sit with the newly ordained for 40 days, 60 days, 50 days, for as long as it takes till they just receive it in Coptic. And they know the in out of the Odes from Ishlil till O Angel of the Sacrifice.
This is the point.
Yeah. وكانت موجودة لحد أول 10 سنين من البابا شنودة. وبعدين لما when he needed lots of priests ابتدى يتوسع حاجات بسيطة قوي في القبطي. And after that, he had to ordain many. But during my time, when I pushed for learning the Coptic مع المجموعة اللي كانت معانا. But it's very essential, and if you have the original language and tone in your ears, I can put, I can pray it in English, in Turkish, in whatever. But if you don't have the original, how can you pray it? It's not a matter of just like thank you God or any prayer you just pray. لا, it has the music, because the music of it has the compassion. فيها المشاعر. عشان كده في أغاني بتأثر في الإنسان لأن مشاعرك موافقاها والنغمة حلوة. فالقداس عبارة عن نغم بيعبر عن مشاعر الإنسان تجاه الله. And this is very very important. عشان كده في قداس تسمعه تقول لك ده كان روحاني، قداس تاني يقول لك الحمد لله ده احنا اتناولنا.
And singing is a language of love. Like, singing is a language of love. Sometimes you can write something really nice, but when you sing, it gives a lot of meaning. I'm going to say one last thing, and then I want to actually hear that you are interested in this. I want to make sure that we don't impose anything on you. But Al-Hakim bi-Amr Allah was a Muslim, ruler back then, very bad time in the Christian, and he ordered that the Coptic language be banished. He ordered that if he hears any woman in their own house, any mother that is teaching or talking in Coptic, they would cut their tongues. And so what I'm trying to say out of this, back then with persecution, the Coptic language survived. Today, with almost no persecution like back then, we don't want to let it go. So I would like to get your feedback. I want to hear like your true feedback. Do you want to really engage, do this and learn it, or is this something going to be like burdensome? And everybody could be different, but I would like to hear.
I'll give you one suggestion is we pick one small hymn, and the youth, it may be overwhelming to say learn Coptic, and there's a lot. There's so much that is coming all at once. But maybe we pick one small hymn. We help in احنا we understand that hymn, and like you said earlier, you said an important point is really understand, and I think Mortos touched on it. And احنا understand the meaning. انت لما بتقول he divided and you went through the tune, it makes it much better received, and you understand it and you live it as you're saying it. بس احنا نعملها حاجة صغيرة, and then when it comes time during the liturgy, we bring the kids up front, we have them say it, we have them practice it, repeat it. They're going to mess up once, twice, 3 times, but encourage them to learn it piece by piece, little by little, and then have them participate in the liturgy, so they're actually saying it, they understand the word, they understand the meaning, and now they're getting to practice it, and they feel part of the liturgy. They're not in the back where they say, I'm never going to use this, and I'm never going to say it.
This part was for Abuna, but you're right. That goes for all the hymns. If, as we're teaching the hymn, we should do that. But the Coptic language is what support the hymn. So we're going to do both. We'll do both. I mean, we're learning and teaching them and taking a part and have them to participate while they're learning what is alpha is. How is it pronounced? What is vita? Is it B or V? And when is it? And then we practice with small things. So there is like little things, and we're not going to go at a fast pace. We're going to, whatever time it takes, it's worth it. It's a good investment. I think...
I was saying also, as one of the students, I feel like learning a whole new language, even though we've been knowing that language for a long time, like learning a whole new language is like a long process. But you answered my question by saying like we're going to take it slow, and it's going to be like easy things, and we're going to take it gradually.
Yeah, very attainable things, and you'll feel good about it, and then we'll have practice, words and things like that. So how about the rest? Everybody's okay?
بعد ما نعرف الألفابت ونخلي الواحد يقدر يقرأ أي كلمة أو يبروناونس أي كلمة، ممكن ناخد الألحان اللي هي سهلة أوي زي قليلويا باي بيبي، أجيوس، اللي احنا كلنا حافظينها كويس أوي أوي أوي، وناخد الكلمات بتاعتها نحطها بالقبطي، تحتيها عربي، تحتيها إنجليزي، لأن احنا عندنا على الخلاجي على المونيتور موجودين الثلاثة، بس واحنا بنقرأ إنجليزي وار فوكسين على الإنجليزي. واحنا بنقرا قبطي معظم الناس ما بتبصش على الحته دي. عربي الناس بتوع العربي.
We'll make it easy.
فاذا كان ممكن ناخد الحان
Yes.
صغيره بحيث ان الاولاد وكلنا ناخد على الكلمات دي، لان هتبص تلاقي 60% من الكلمات هتتكرر في معظم الالحان. هتبص تلاقي في فتره قليله قوي.
Vocabulary will build up from that.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, all these are. I'm glad that you're excited.
I just want to mention one thing about the hymns. Obviously, this is a deacons meeting, but for the hymns class, it's not just the deacons. Like we have like girls and boys, and I know sometimes like I want to, for example, give them a Coptic hymn, but I agree like it would be much easier if they know how to read it and understand it than trying to like write it in English letters. But that requires like all the kids to kind of know at least the foundation.
Nothing like grows up fast. You water you don't see maybe any fruit for a while, but then all of a sudden it sprouts with God's grace. You just water and God will make it grow as long as we are in communion and in union to the same goal. متفقين لمحبة ملية كمثل الرسل.
Just like when Abuna started Jay Penyote Tchinni fi Owi, now more and more people are.
I think that's a good segue because
Yeah.
we're starting now.
So actually, and I know. Well, yeah. And I think that's what Neder is doing, is that he's committing to that service here. So I know there's a lot of the Coptic hymns in English. They have done a great job in taking those Coptic hymns and doing it in English. However, Abuna has always said it's very difficult with some of the hymns like Pekathronos, to chant that in English. As you mentioned, Abuna, it just doesn't sound right. You don't feel it. But again, I think that we have Neder here who's committing. He put already like a curriculum together of going through, some of the specific hymns, and he's done it for other churches. So, we're blessed to have that here. But I guess I wanted to hear from you, Abuna. Can we leverage maybe 10, 15 minutes out of each deacon meeting, and you're in favor of that as far as sponsoring, championing that? Okay. Great. Thank you, Abuna.
القبطي او اللهجه متفصله على القبطي مش متفصله على الانجليزي ولا على العربي، مع ان العربي برضو فيه
يعني centuries. So فيها شوية روحانية، لكن القبطي زي ما يكون حد متفصل، ما بنحط بنلبسه مثلا بالانجليزي او كده، زي ما يكون واحدة from the village and you're giving her like a different some other thing that does not belong to her. She sell, you know, but it's not the same. Like ما بيليش عليها، مش بيضغط عليها، مش ماشي عليها. فكل حاجة أصلها I think will be very.
في برضه نقطة تانية for the Coptic language. During the service of Amba Tedros of Port Said, at that time his name was Magdi Kamel. I was 17 years of age, and he picked me and he said, you know, let's learn Coptic. I wasn't learned at all in that. Believe it or not, in I would say in 45 minutes, the first 45 minutes we sat, he introduced the letters in a very nice way. It wasn't like ABC, but it was in the form of small words like Nem, T, Ag. So from there we just get, oh, N-E-M. Oh, okay, Nem. T, the one with like the cross, and then Agb, A-G-P. And from there we picked it up. In 45 minutes we picked the letters, but the grammar came a little later. And as you pronounced it and you knew it, you could see the translation and you can correlate. You can correlate. So it's not going to be, we are not going to study the language in order to speak with it or to communicate, but at least to understand few things, few of the words, where you can put the meaning together collectively. And that will be also a successful way to do it.
Thank you, Abuna. So our next topic is just to solicit some feedback about some of the hymns that we can be learning during this deacon meeting. We have different age ranges, different maturity levels when it comes to hymns here across, but we want to hear from you. We want to hear from the younger ones. We want to hear from more advanced. What are some of the specific hymns? Like today we're going to learn the introduction to the Doxologies. That'll be just kind of like an intermediate, but in Coptic. So there's so many hymns in the church, and we already have a beginner's class where we're going to take the smaller, hymns that some have taken, for the exam of becoming a deacon. But others are, more advanced, whether it's seasonal hymns or maybe Holy Week. But we want to hear from you. We want to open it up. Nader, if you want to add something to make sure that we're capturing.
As far as suggestion?
Yeah.
It really depends on the level. I'd like to make it a level-based versus like age-based, because some kids are talented and they can be receptive to long hymns or advanced, and some of them are still, beginner. Same goes to the adults. Some are receptive and some just want to be walked like little by little. So, for the things that are basic, we could do basic things that kind of compromise from inside and outside the altar, kind of mix. And that's just a suggestion. And for the the grown up, we can concentrate on the thing that, like what we're talking about today, like the introduction of Doxology. There's sometimes you learn a lot of good hymns, but something kind of skips you, like in the middle, like a Doxology for Saint Mark, for example, or the introduction of Doxology, and you keep not picking it up. So we could pick up these things, and then we're gonna see how receptive everybody is. We can increase, the level depending on your reception. So we just gauge it and find out like where you at. You could say this is too easy. Let's get something, and then we can move to something harder. Or we could have a mix. We could have something simple, something intermediate, and something hard, and then alternate between these things. So there are many suggestions. Ultimately, is what you feel comfortable and committed to and like to do, because learning the Coptic and learning the hymns is successful when you love it, when you have love and eagerness and to do it. So we want to do it that way if possible.
I think we need to start with something that we say on a regular basis, not seasonal basis. That it's a production of Doxology, Susuriyat, Arba' Naus, symbols. This is good. We say it on a regular basis on all Vespers, and the kids can participate all the time. But if we take something seasonal, for example, we say it once a year or twice a year, people will have less interest. And they will less practice it, yeah.
يعني في ناس يقدروا ياخدوا ويستوعبوا وياخدوا الاثنين، وفي حد عايز يعني يبقى at the beginning. So there are levels. That's why I'm saying if we do it level based versus age based, it will be, I think, successful, because all the people that are in the advanced are coming and they're eager and they're wanting more, versus like the one that we're just learning or kind of putting their.
I meant let's start with the hymns that we say on a regular basis first, like, because not all of us know all the doxologies in Coptic, right? So this is something we, as adult or the grown up, will learn as well, and maybe once we master that, we'll move into the more harder things. That's right.
Whatever you want. Like if
And-
everybody wants to do something with themselves at once specific and everybody agrees with it, I mean.
I think the seasonal hymns, when the season come, we could practice it before the season, like 2-3 weeks before the season, that will be used on the season. So we'll,
Like Ifrah Ya Maryam right now.
for instance, we use the,
مثلا الصيام الكبير ولا لو عملتها 3 weeks is too late already. We're gonna be catching up. بس ممكن ناخد منهم حاجات. Doxology.
yeah, before it starts, before the season starts, then we learn it. Then when the season comes, we already know it. We don't forget it, because when you learn it way before, by the time the season comes, you will be out of it.
I'm with you.
So regularly, in a regular basis, we can take the regular hymns, and when the season comes, we can put the seasonal hymns with it.
The microphone. You have the microphone of it.
Suggestion.
Can you give microphone? Sarwat.
Thank you. I agree with Nader, and I also agree with Umar. What we need to do in احنا يبقى عندنا two levels من الحرب. Okay. في basics لازم نعرفها. الارباع النقوص والسكسوريات والكلام ده كله، انا مرات ببقى واقف في نص الدنيا اللي ابونا بيكمل الارباع النقوص وانا مش معايا خالص يعني.
احنا بنيجي متأخر شوية عشان نسرق Yes, I agree with you. And it doesn't have to be just Coptic, right? So we're focusing a lot on Coptic right here with the verses of symbols, with the, the doxologies. It's good that we're alternating Coptic and English, or even, sometimes Arabic and English. So I think that's the beauty of our church here, Archangel Michael, is the fact that Abuna has always promoted all 3 languages. Right, instead of going to one church where it's just English or you're just Arabic. So, but I think that's the beauty of it, is that we have to find the right mix of which hymns during our deacon classes to focus on, whether it's the basics, going to the foundational hymns and mastering those first, taking them slowly at a time. But as Nader mentioned, some are hungry to learn more, and it becomes easy for them. So we don't want to also make it boring for them. We want to keep them thinking to advance and learn more. So I would like to hear from others. Any other specific hymns or things that you want to hear?
I'm sorry, can I add one more thing? This is exactly what I'm saying, is we will have the basics,
Yeah.
right? But we will have a group زي ما انت قلت hungry for more. So okay, الجروب ده هياخد نادر، هياخد حد كويس. We want to learn that hymn. ليه؟ لأن احنا الهيمز عندنا في اللي هم البيسك بتوع everything, every day, whatever. And then we have something more common than season.
Yeah.
يعني في رحلة مالي ممكن نقوله literally a lot of times during our the year. Okay. ممكن نتعلمه. Hunt, things like that. And then we get to the really seasonal notes, and those are the ones that we, so we can actually promote all that together, right? And again, see where the 100 group is and just work with those. And we can have a side, that's Danny or حاجة زي كده, if that possible.
بالنسبة للألحان, I learned once that there is a total of 365 Coptic hymns throughout the Coptic Church. 365 ألحان total. 13 منهم بس في Lord Have Mercy في كيريا ليسون. عندها 13 versions.
حاجة تانية beside الميتنج اللي هنعملها تبراكتس وان احنا نحفظ مع بعض، عايزين اللايبرري بتاعتنا تتحط على الويب سايت بتاعنا او على اي ميتنج، علشان خاطر انا ممكن اروح اسحب لحن وانا بشتغل بعد 12 ساعة قدام الكمبيوتر بتاعي، اخلي اللحن يتعاد ويتعاد ويتعاد ويتعاد. ما تتخيلش قد ايه انا الحان انا ما بقراش قبطي، الحان كتيرة حفظتها بالسماعي ولزقت وخلاص ومش هتطلع. الالحان الجديده هي اللي عايز اعمل فيها نفس الطريقه.
So we will have, just like we did during the last deacon meeting, is that we'll have a folder that captures the live stream of today. It captures the written hymns already there, like the presentation that we're going to go through, and it captures the audio, so that anyone who misses any of the sessions can go to that folder, click on it and say July 15th, 2022, here is this. And then we can add additional. We could have an archive of other activities like you're mentioning. So hopefully we'll have that like on a Google Drive or something. I know Nader has done many of that for over the years.
فممكن تروح في السيشن الاعاده اللي كلها دي نمره واحد. نمره اثنين الكلام موجود قدامك يعني in whatever language العربي بالقبطي في الاول كده. ده نمره اثنين فالريسورس ده عندك. نمره ثلاثه I'm requiring for you to record and you have your own folder and then I reviewed or somebody reviewed, give you comment before so you could redo it again or do it again. And then I know that you have mastered. So it goes through many stages. أنا مش كلمت إنجليزي برضه مش عايز أخوف فمش عشان ما يفتكروش إن حاجة زي مدرسة أو كده. بس يعني this is the point. إن الطريقة إن إحنا هنقول مع بعض في تسجيل بتاع المصدر لأن أحب المصدر. هنتكلم برضه على المصادر والحاجات دي. المصدر موجود. الهم اللي احنا السيشن بتاعتنا موجود وبعدين انت عندك فولدر you get the perfect rendition بتاعتها وده يبقى الريكورد بتاعك موجود. فأي وقت انت نفسك عايز تراجع ممكن تراجع اللي انت عملته لان ده هيبقى اقرب ليك كمان. فيعني دي فكرة لو الحاجة دي يعني تناسب ممكن يعني حاجة تبقى كويسة عشان يعني نطمن انه we got it down.
Okay, thank you. So I think for the sake of time, we'll move on to the final agenda topic, which is the introduction to the Doxologies. So we're going to take that, Nader, if you can walk us through that.
So هناخد حاجة بسيطة مع بعض. دي حاجة مهمة لأن كتير احنا يعني بنيجي نقول introduction to Doxology. لو مش عارف القبطي for now قولها بنغمة بالعربي أو بالإنجليزي لغاية ما نحفظ القبطي وبعد كده يبقى كله قبطي creatively. So this is the introduction of the theology. This is throughout the whole year and with the exception of Kiyak, there is verses that started to be sung before at a certain point. And we're going to go through this. So if you look at the Doxology, it's a part of the litanies or the thing that we say in the Agbeya book, which is held to you, we ask you, send full of glory. السلام لك نسألك. عارفينها الأجبية بتبتدي خيم بخريستوس يسوس بن شويس أمين الليلويا. فناخد الحتة دي الأول كلها متلحنة بطريقة كده. أول ما نبتدي الدوكسولوجي we start خن Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. ماشي. خن Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. We'll have this for you, the link, so you can print it out or you practice at home. خن Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. Throughout the whole year, we're going to be saying this, any of the occasion. Chempe Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. Let's go and start, I want to hear your voices, Chempe Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. By yourself. Chempe Christos pen shoisamin Alleluia. Very good. Chempe Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. And chen يعني in. يعني خليها تبقى سهلة. In Christ Jesus. chen بالإبتي. And I'm going to be giving you things كده as we go along. بخريستوس اللي هو خريستوس Christ. إيسوس زي الإسبانيش اللي هو Jesus. Jesus. Christ Jesus. And then pen choice our Lord. Okay? Chempe Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. بعد كده الأربعة بقى the verses. Sherene tentiho ero. Sherene tentiho ero. Sherene tentiho ero. Othi es owa bismehen o'u. Othi es owa bismehen o'u. تاني. Sherene oti parth, sherene tentiho ero, otiet owa bismehen ou tani. Sherene tentiho ero, otiet owa bismehen ou. نرجع من الأول. خمب Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. Sherene tentiho ero, otiet owa bismehen ou. أوتي أواب اسمهن أو فيها اتش في الآخر اسمه إن أو شيرينيتن تيهو إيرو أوتي أواب اسمهن أو. ماشي. Let's say it from the beginning. خمب Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. شيرينيتن تيهو أوتي أواب اسمهن أو. بعد كده et oiem parthenosen seioniven, et oiem parthenosen seioniven, et oiem parthenosen seioniven, et oiem parthenosen seioniven, shereneten tio ero, otiet oabes men o, et oiem parthenosen seioniven. قولها من الأول. خمب Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. Sherene tio ero, otiet oabes men o, et oiem parthenosen seioniven. Timas notis mavem pe Christos. A little bit high. Timas notis mavem pe Christos. Pe Christos مش بخريستوس. بخ دي اسم الشيطان. عشان كده كانوا بيقولوا بخ ياخدوا حد. فهي مش بخريستوس. بي خريستوس على قد ما نقدر. بعد شويه هنلقط الحاجات دي. خمب Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. Sherene tio ero, otiet oabes men o, et oiem parthenosei. Timas notis mavem pe Christos. آخر واحدة. Timas notis mavem pe Christos. هنقولها مرتين وبعد كده ننقل اللي بعديه. خمب Christos Iisus pen shoisamin Alleluia. Sherene tio ero, otiet oabes men o, et oiem parthenosen seioniven. Timas notis mavem. بعد كده. Ani owi intene brosifshi. Ani owi intene brosifshi. Epshoi hapi shiri emmenrit. Ani owi intene brosifshi. Epshoi hapi shiri emmenrit. تاني. اني اوي انتين بروسف شي ابشوي هابي شيري امنريت. بعد ما قلنا تيمس نوتس مافن بخريستوس اني او انتين بروسف شي ابشوي هابي شيري امنريت. تاني اني او انتين بروسف شي ابشوي هابي شيري امنريت. ناخد تيمس نوتي. تيمس نوتس مافن بخريستوس اني او انتين بروسف شي ابشوي هابي شيري امنريت. because of the music بتلاقي الكلام بيلضم في بعضه، يعني بيلضم في بعضه كده as a very everything kind of connects together. The words kind of dumps into the next word and so on, kind of like very nice musical way. تاني تيمس نوتس مافن بخريستوس اني اوينتين بروسف شي ابشوي هابي شيري امنريت. Let's hear you from the beginning. خن بخريستوس انت في كان النوفيناني فول. دي سهلة. انت في كان النوفيناني فول واخرها فيها سكتة كده. انت في كان النوفيناني فول نقول اني قوي يس. الالفا الالفا عامة مفروض زي الفرنساوي زي اني قوي. بعض ساعات يقول لك دلوقتي ما هي في يعني new things. قال لك دلوقتي الالفا لما بتقول تتقال في الاول بتقول في الاخر او في الميدل بتقول بس it's not a consistent rule. It's not a consistent rule. So it's just a matter of how everybody says it, so it doesn't become weird. يعني افرض واحد مثلا يعني ثبت دماغه يقول انت في كان النوفي، احنا بنقول انت في كان النوفي، هتلاقي انه شاذ عن الجروب. فاحنا عايزين نصلي نجمع مش نفرق. ف whatever we agree on حتى لو غلط فهو صح. يعني لو احنا اتفقنا ان هو احنا هنقول كده عشان نصلي، وفي فروق كده واحد عايز يبقى very technical واحد فعايزين نبقى مع بعض. المهم نبقى متفقين.
حرف اسمه الفا.
yeah.
مش بالانجليزي بتقول A.
yeah.
انه دي فانت في كان النوبل. فايتس مور اوف than an A.
بالظبط. مفيش اختلاف. يلا نقولها تاني. اني اوينتين بروسف شي ابشوي هابي شيري امنريت. انت في كان النوفيناني فول. بعد كده شيرتيت تنزل تاني شيرتي تصميسي نانم بي او اوينين طائف مي تاني. شيرتي تصميسي نانم بي او اوينين طائف مي. شيرتي تصميسي نانم بي او اوينين طائف مي. والفي ثيتا دي تي اتش بتاعتنا ثي. اوكي. شيرتي تصميسي نانم بي او اوينين طائف مي. يبقى بعد ما قلنا انت في كان النوفيناني فول شيرتي تصميسي نانم بي او اوينين طائف مي. again شيرتي تصميسي نانم بي او اوينين طائف مي. تاني شيرتي تصميسي نانم بي او اوينين طائف مي. الأخيرة انت في كان النوفيناني فول شيرتي تصميسي نانم بي او اوينين طائف بخريستوس بنوتي تي بارثينوس اث اواب. بخريستوس بنوتي تي بارثينوس اث اواب. تاني بخريستوس بنوتي تي بارثينوس اث اواب. بخريستوس بنوتي تي بارثينوس اث اواب. تاني من اول انت في كان النوفيناني فول. انت في كان النوفيناني فول شيرتي تصميسي نانم بي او اوينين طائف مي. بخريستوس بنوتي تي بارثينوس اواب. The whole verse. شيرتي تصميسي نانم بي او اوينين طائف مي. بخريستوس بنوتي تي بارثينوسس أو. فبتبتدي واطية وبعدين في النص أو في الآخر بتقوم رافعة حتة بسيطة يعني. أوكي، بعد انتفكان النوفي نانيفول نسمعكم وبعد كده ناخد الفيرس اللي بعديه. انتفكا بعد كده ماتي هو امت شويس اهريجون. ماتي هو امت شويس اهريجون. انتف اوناي نمنان بسيشي. ناخدها بالشويش. ماتي هو امت شويس اهريجون. انتف اوناي نمنان بسيشي. بسيشي اللي هو السول، اللي هو ايه او سبيريت او سول. اوكي، نفوسنا. ماتي هو امت شويس اهريجون. انتف اوناي نمنان بسيشي. انتف كان النوفي نانيفول. ما فيهاش عالية هنا بس فيها كلام كتير ولادم في بعضه. So we're gonna say it 3-4 times together. Let's read it. ماتي هو امت شويس اهريج. انتف اوناي نمنان بسيشي. انتف كان النوفي نانيفول. Again. ماتي هو امت شويس اهريجون. انتف اوناي نمنان بسيشي. انتف كان النوفي نانيفول. 2 more times and then you say it by yourself. ماتي هو امت شويس انتف اوناي نمنان بسيشي. انتف كان النوفي نانيفول. الرفعة في الانتف اوناي. ماتي هو امت شويس اهريجون. انتف اوناي نمنان بسيشي. انتف كان النوفي نانيفول. One more time and then you say it by yourself. ماتي هو امت شويس اهريجون. انتف اوناي نمنان بسيشي. انتف كان النوفي نانيفول. اتفضل. ماتي هو تعالوا نقول كل من الأول عشان إيه ما ننساش من الأول. لسه خيم بخريستوس. خيم بخريستوس إيسوس بشويس من الليل. شيرنت انتيو إيرو أوثيس أو بسمين أو إت أوين بارثينوس إنسيوني. تي مستوتيس بخريستوس. أني أوين تنبروسف شي ابشوي هابي شيري امنريك. انتف كان النوب شيرت تصميسي نانم بي او اوين طائفمي. بخريستوس بنوتي تي بارثينوسيس او. ماتي هو امت شويس اهريجو. انتف اوناين نمنان بسيشي. انتف كان النوبي. Very good. تي بارثينوس ماريام. تي اوتوكوس ات اواب. تي اوتوكوس متقسمة دي سهلة. تي بارثينوس ماريام. تي اوتوكوس ات اواب. خلي بالكم ماريام الام اللي في الاخر دي للتعظيم. للتعظيم يعني في ماريا وماريام. اكسية واكسياس للتعظيم بس هي فبعض ساعات تقول تلاقي ماريا مريم بالام at the end. تي بارثينوس مريم. تي ثيوتوكوس اس او. تي ابروستاتيس ايتن هوت. هنقول دي بشويش. تي ابروستاتيس ايتن هوت. انت ابجينوس. انت تيمترومي. هنقولها كذا مرة. تي ابروستاتيس ايتن هوت. انت ابجينوس. انت تيمترومي. again. تي ابروستاتيس ايتن هوت. انت ابجينوس. انت تيمترومي. يبقى تي بارثينوس ماريام. تي ثيوتوكوس اثواب. تي ابروستاتيس ايتن هوت. انت ابجينوس. انت تيمترومي. ممكن نقراها مع بعض. تي بارثينوس ماريام. تي ثيوتوكوس اثواب. تي ابروستاتيس ايتن هوت. انت ابجينوس. انت تيمترومي. تي بارثينوس ماريام. ti theotokos es oab, ti eprostatis eten hotin te epgenos te timetromi. لازم ايه you don't run out of breath. Again. Ti Parthenos Mariam, ti Theotokos es oab, ti eprostatis eten hotin te epgenos te timetromi. One more time. Ti Parthenos Mariam, ti Theotokos es oab, ti eprostatis eten hotin te epgenos te timetromi. By yourself, please. Ti Parthenos The last verse before the hymn itself, which I think we're going to stop at this. Ari epresvavin ehrigon, دي معروفة. Ari epresvavin ehrigon نهر في خريستوس في إطاف ركفوف في إطاف ركفوف في إطاف ركفوف في إطاف ركفوف. Ari epresvavin ehrigon نهر في خريستوس في إطاء ركفوف. هوبوس انتف ارئه متنان بيكو ايفول انتين النوفي. الحتة الأولانية دي نتك عليها. أري بريزفافين اهريجون نهر في خريستوس في إطاء ركفوف. هوبوس انتف ارئه متنان بيكو ايفول انتين النوفي. نقول القراية مع بعض مرتين وبعد كده ناخد الربع. Ari presvavin ehrigon نهر في خريستوس في إطاء ركفوف. هوبوس انتف متنان امبيكو ايفول انتين النوفي. one more time. Ari presvavin ehrigon نهر في خريستوس في إطاء ركفوف. هوبوس انتف متنان امبيكو ايفول انتين. Ari presvavin. Ari presvavin. لأن ساعات by the, if we can say presvavin, maybe you don't hear the Ari. Ari presvavin. هي مفروض Ari presvavin. But sometimes if we are going fast, then we might, hear that. Good catch. Okay, let's go. Ari احنا قلنا ايه؟ انت ابجينوس انت تيمترومي. Ari presvavin eriegon نهر بخريستوس في إطارك فو هوبوس انتف متنان بيكو ايفولنتين النوفي. And then we pause a second because we're going to say the hymn again. Ari presvavin eriegon نهر بخريستوس في إطارك فو هوبوس انتف متنان بيكو ايفولنتين النوفي. One more time. Ari presvavin eriegon نهر بخريستوس في إطارك فوف. هوبوس انتف متنان بيكو ايفو تين النوفي. Two more times and that will be the end. Ari presvavin eriegon نهر بخريستوس في إطارك فوف. Hopos entef motnan pico evolenten in novi. One last time. Ari Christos. And that will be the introduction. بعد كده the hymn, the next part, depending on the season, how it's said, when we can say it some other time. Let's say it just one more time, one last time. Chempe Christos, by yourself, please. Chempe Christos. Ente Maria, Tite Otokos, Etho, Te Prostatis, Etihotente. بعد Etihot, we don't stop. We're going to say this part again. Ti Parthenos Maria, Tite Otokos, Etho, Te Prostatis, Etihotente, Ebgenos, Ente, Timetromi, Arie Bresvavin. Narem Christos etarik fov opos entef emot nalibiko. Very good, thank you so much.
Just unrelated, but reminded me because it came up in the
Yes.
when we have the two letters, I forgot their name, but the X and the E or the H.
Yes,
I've always learned it as it's closer to the Kha in
Yes.
Arabic.
yes. It has three pronunciation. The K had three pronunciation. If it's a Greek word, you're gonna learn that the Coptic is not Coptic, it's Coptic and Greek. If it's a Greek word and it has no هقولها بالعربي الكي لو هي يوناني هتتقال لا اما شين لا اما خ. هتتقال شين لو وراها حرف مائل للكسر زي اي اوكي. لو ما وراهاش حاجه حرف مائل للكسر تتقال خ. يعني مثلا نقول اخريستوس اللي هي كي وفيها وراها ار يبقى مش حرف مائل للكسر. انما شيري ده حرف مائل للكسر. غير كده في الابتي تبقى كاف يبقى كي. انت في كان النوفي ناني فول مثلا ابتي يبقى كي. هي بيبروسيف شيس تاسيتي الأصح لأن جاية من أوشية بنقول أوشية المرضى اللي هي الصلاة. وإفشي you're gonna identify what is a Greek word and what is a Coptic word. We can have a lesson about this. بس حاجات اللي فيها E في الآخر like إفشي أجيوس أوس خريستوس كسيا كل الحاجات دي are Greek. So this is a way to identify some of the. So in that case, you know that this is Greek. So يعني we can have a lesson on this.
Okay, thank you very much, Nader. Before Abuna prays for us, I just wanted to confirm if you feel that having this meeting the third Friday night of every month or every other Friday. We want to know whether you feel you can commit to every other week. I know we had talked about during the last meeting we're going to have once a month, but I think once a month it becomes difficult to grasp the hymn and then you leave it for a month if you're not practicing each week. So who here is able to commit to every other Friday?
Hymns is like a language. If you do not practice it constantly, you lose it. Once every 3 weeks, or once a month, it's not going to get the right result. At least twice a month.
Okay.
At least, because hymns are like a language. If you don't practice it, you lose it.
Agreed. So every other Friday? Yes? Yes? Okay, so we have commitment every other, yes?
My only concern is the other Friday night activities.
Yeah, so for now, until we go back to the actual Friday nights, I think we're going to be doing it until the end of summer, right? Which I think sometime in August. So at least for now, the next one that we're going to have on the 29th of July will still be in the Tuesday, Thursday summer club. So it will allow us to have it on Friday the 29th. And then maybe at that session we can determine which night works for everyone, but again, to commit to every 2 weeks to have our deacon meeting. Yeah, and then be thinking about that. Is there a specific night that works best for everyone here? I know weeknights, sometimes for people it's hard because you have, school. But if we do, like say, from 7 to 8:15, and we tried today to do it in an hour and 15 minutes, and you can see we're about like 5 minutes over. But is an hour and 15 minutes okay if you can commit to a weeknight? I know weekends are tough, but also we have to just make sure that we have commitment from Nader or Akmal or whomever, just to make sure that we are committed. So be thinking about which night works best for you. If weekends are tough, Saturdays and Sundays, if you want to do a weeknight, is there a specific weeknight that works for you, Nader, that we can commit to, that maybe we can get buy-in after the 29th? We start moving to, say, Wednesday nights or something, if that works for everyone. Yeah, and be thinking about it, and then we can talk about it during the 29th session. Sound like a plan?
آمين هللويا دوكسا باتري اسمون مؤم فيارو واسمو نسيتين من سماري بكناي بإخرستوس بنوتي اب اورو انت تهريني مينان انت كريني سمنينان انت كريني جكان النوفيناني فود جيثوك تاتي قوم نمبي او نمبي اسمو نمبي اما شائنه امين. اسمعنا عندما ندعوك بالشكر قائلين يا ابانا الذي في السماوات.
قدس اسمك يأتي ملكوتك تكن مشيئتك كما في السماء كذلك على الأرض.
May the love of God the Father, the grace of His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, blessing and fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you. Depart in peace, the peace of the Lord be with you all. كان في نقطة كنت تعلمتها من بابا شنودة في حكاية أهوية السماء والحاجات دي. قال الأهوية تجيب المطر، المطر يسقي الزرع. فاسمه نقير، اسمه نمو، اسمه انسيتيو. أهوية، مية، زرع.